Hello and welcome back to Kim Talks. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I am so appreciative that you have chosen to share your time with me and my guests today. And we have quite an awesome lady here sharing her journey in real estate. So let me bring you up to speed real quick. Shelly Slocum is the author of an upcoming book, Love and Inspiration for Mom, which includes inspirational quotes plus Shelly's practical tips on how to apply that inspiration on a daily basis in order to live a more inspired and optimistic life. Shelly has a master's degree in organizational management, and she has been a real estate broker for 21 years and taught night classes and is a certified instructor for Dale Carnegie Training. So you can see why she's been so successful. But she believes her most important job has been being a mom to her two wonderful daughters. She's now savoring the ultimate reward for parenting, which is being Mimi to the three precious granddaughters or grandchildren. Sorry, I'm assuming. Uh, she has been married to her high school sweetheart for 39 years, and she has received, and this is huge, guys. Anybody out there, and I know you're listening, all these real estate people, a real estate. This is a real estate landmark. She has received the Lifetime Achievement Award from Remax in 2018. So that's pretty huge. So let's welcome Shelly and let's find out how she's doing all of this because we know real estate can be crazy. Our time is limited, our patience even more so limited. And how do you do it all? So good morning and welcome, Shelly. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Kim. Thank you so much for having me on. What an honor and a pleasure.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. Um, you and I have a lot in common. You
We
know,
do.
the original mother hustlers of real estate. We're just come on. I put that on a t-shirt because that term kills me. So let's go into this real quick. I want you to share with me a bit of who you are, where you're at, and your a kind of a high view of your real estate career, length of time, and awards and accolations.
Well, as you said, I have been in real estate for 21 years and it has been a journey. My kids were younger when I started. And as we know, unfortunately, fortunately, this business is a 24/7 business. And I tell you, I worked like a dog for the first 10 years. I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't have business hours. I answered calls in the middle of the night. And I finally hired a business coach that said, Shelly, you cannot do it all. You've got to put parameters. You've got to focus, put focus where focus is due, and you will do great. So finally, after 10 years, I put business hours on my phone. I started doing amazing 15 minutes every night with my kids. I had two daughters who were desperate for my attention. And so I put into practice routines that helped my kids be successful. And it got rid of the mom guilt that I had as a real estate broker. So I have lots of tips and tricks to help people along the way, but it has been a journey. I have loved every minute of it. And after receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award through Remax, I thought I would never achieve that. And, it was an honor to walk across that stage with so many people who have done such an amazing job in real estate. So fast forward to a year ago, I was diagnosed with non-smoking lung cancer, which out of the blue, I've never been a smoker. And so it really kind of changed my perspective, as you can imagine. And so I decided, I had built a team, and I decided to semi-retire. So my team now is handling all of the clients. I'm staying in touch with the marketing piece and as an advisor, but I'm just loving everything that real estate has done for me.
Amazing. So I want to dive into a couple things that you mentioned. Pardon me. Time parameters. So because this all plays into kind of where we're going to go with this conversation around what happens after you do amazing things in real estate. And the aha moment that you get around a life scare is really significant. But we're dealing with a lot of people are dealing with life scares on a day-to-day basis. So like a lot of single moms will go into real estate. We are 62%, according to the National Association of Realtors, 62% of licensed residential real estate agents are women. And the average age is 52, which means we have a lot of 30-year-olds out there who have young children. And we know that 50% of marriages end in divorce. So there's all these things that can play on the mom guilt, the time challenges, the financial, right? Because it's not easy get up and running in this business unless you come into the business with a large chunk of money to compete. You're going to be putting in the time. So tell me about how you dealt with the fear of losing business around putting time parameters in place. Because I'm pretty sure you had a little bit of that, because most of us do.
Right. There's a big angst there because I think people in this business believe that you have to be available 24/7. And this current market that we're living in it's so crazy. It's really hard to put parameters. But when I finally did, I got more respect from my clients. And, I put a voicemail on my phone that said if they were calling after 6 p.m. or on a weekend, I would return their call, or on a Sunday, I'm sorry, I would return their call the following business day. And I did, if it was in the middle of a negotiation of a contract, I absolutely worked on that in the evening. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't hard and fast. But just having that on my voicemail kind of set the expectations of my clients. And they began to call, if they would call on a Sunday, they would say, Shelly, I know you're not working today. I know you're spending time with your family. Good for you. Please call me tomorrow. I mean, and I never thought that would happen, but it did. And so, it's just one of those things where there's so much of that we build fear up in our own minds. And I was so afraid that my clients wouldn't receive it well. And instead, they embraced it amazingly and respected me more for it.
Absolutely. And I think that when you set parameters with anything and anyone, they know the rules of engagement. So when we
Right.
talk about setting parameters and rules of engagement, having family and doing real estate, because real estate can be all consuming.
Correct.
Share with me some of what were some of the biggest challenges you had with having children in real estate? And what were some of the tactics and like in your toolbox that you would pull out in order to defuse or engage or even smooth over those challenges with having family, actually having a life and real estate?
Right. Well, it's funny. I'm a big acronym person. So, like, for me to remember things, I've just always made acronyms. And crazy enough, I made an acronym for mother because even though I'm a real estate broker, my most important job, as you said earlier, I do believe is being a mom and raising successful, responsible kids. So I have this acronym for mother that I created, and it starts with M, which is morning routine. And self-care. I literally never took care of myself because I was so busy taking care of my clients and my kids and my husband and everybody else that until I stepped back and I'm not a super morning person, but I started getting up earlier than everybody else in the house so that I could take care of myself. And I would do quiet time, I would do prayer, I would do reading, I would set my goals, all of that in the morning. If you're a night person, do it at night after everybody else goes to bed. But for me, it worked well for the morning. I mean, I think the other really big thing is the O in mother is to over deliver and under promise. Because I would commit to things with my clients, and then I would feel like, oh my gosh, I'm letting everybody down. I would commit to being at something with my kids, and and then a showing would come up, and then I wouldn't get there for my kids, and then my kids were let down. So I just learned that if I didn't promise things, and I set, a high bar for myself, but I didn't over promise. When I over delivered, my clients were thrilled and my kids were thrilled. So, then the T is time blocking, right? Stephen Covey says, put the big rocks in first. If you don't do that, you can't fit the big rocks in with all of the stuff that you have on your plate with real estate. So the big rocks are the appointments with your kids, the appointments with your husband, the appointments with your clients. And so then when people are calling, they say, oh, I can only meet tonight. And you say, oh, I have an appointment, whether that appointment's with your kids or your husband. Then when they realize you have an appointment, they say, oh, okay, I can do it tomorrow. Okay, great. I can do tomorrow. What time works? So it's a way to organize your time so that you can fit all the important things in. So H is getting help. The sooner you can get help in this business, the better off you'll be, because help administratively, help as a buyer's agent frees you up. Help at home, if you can, if you can afford to hire somebody to help you clean the house, those kinds of things buy you time to work on your business, not just in your business. The E is exercise, getting out, get your kids involved, go for bike rides, go for walks, things like that. It energizes you and helps you bond with your kids. And then the R is routine. The more routine you can have, most everybody in real estate is a free spirit, right? We don't want a boss. We don't want somebody telling us what to do. But the more routine you can have in your business and your life with your kids, the better off you'll be.
Absolutely. I have followed uh, Brian Buffini for years. Absolutely
Yeah.
love Brian. And that's like, it's like just have a routine. And it's interesting. When you go back to your T, you said time block. And,
Right.
and here's the reality is we jump because we're fear of losing business. We jump to whatever the client. And I put in my F rule. If it's not a flood or fire or a financial problem and I have to deal with it immediately, it is not an emergency with that house. And so, yeah. So you don't get replaced with your kids and your family. Um, and I know I've had I've had clients call me at 1 o'clock in the morning because they gave us the key for the lockbox. Wife is out of town, went out. The guy goes out partying with his buddies, doesn't have a key to get in the house. I was
And one
so glad when
lockbox code.
I was so glad when our lockboxes in Calgary had a cutoff at 11 p.m. because it was like, now at least the lockbox has an official timeline on it.
Right.
So when we look at this transition you went through in year 10, right, to bring your life back in line with your business and your business in line with your life so you could actually have one. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the pain points of putting these rules of engagement in place.
Right. Well, there is a chance. There is a chance, a risk when you put those parameters that you could lose business. But I just have always had the mindset, the business that I am supposed to have, I will have. I just I've never lived with a scarcity mindset, and I just refuse to do that. There is so much business out there that the people I'm supposed to be working with, I will. So, and when I realized that, it moved me past the pain point and the desperation of I have to work with everybody that comes my way. I think the other thing is initially I had a buyer's agent who had a very different personality than me. And that was, she was very good, but my clients got to the point where they'd say, you know what? We'll just wait until you get back, Shelly. And I thought, oh, well, that's not what I want. I want you to continue to work with my team. I don't want you to just rely on me. So, it evolved to where I ended up with a buyer's agent. And it was funny because my girls said, oh gosh, mom, she's just a younger version of you. And I thought, oh, well, that's perfect because then my clients were comfortable because it was similar personality, similar approach to business. They felt comfortable with her. And she now is taking over my business as I semi-retire. And it's just a wonderful blessing.
Awesome. And that's where I want to start kind of moving to. So you have all these life lessons. You have this successful business. You have the Lifetime Achievement Award, like literally one after the other. You just knocked it out of the park. You've been able to do what 50% of the population struggles to do, which is maintain a relationship with your partner. So then you get hit with cancer.
Right.
So, and this seems to be a bit of coincide with this pivot into your next leg of your journey. Because I don't know about you, Shelly, but I'm never retiring. I don't have any
Never,
desire to sit
never.
around and do absolutely nothing. I have no
Right.
desire to sit on a golf course. I want to be out serving people, working with people for as long as I physically can. So tell me about this pivot. What did this transition look like? And what was the journey you went through to even get to the point where you decided that the next step is to start documenting the most important thing? And it wasn't real estate, it was motherhood. So share with me that pivot point and what were the kind of the what were the flags and how did you move through that and why did you move through that?
Well, so initially, I would say that my goal was to work another 5 years and then start slowly transitioning because I'm with you. Like the thought of doing nothing makes me a little bit crazy. You can't work 24/7 and then go to nothing. So, anyway, several years ago, my oldest daughter went through a very traumatic experience and lived through that and she actually had a breakdown. And when that happened, I dropped everything in my world, including my real estate business. And thank God I had a wonderful person to take over my business. So I was able to drop what I was doing on a daily basis and move to where my daughter was. And I literally picked her up, got her out of bed every day, helped her heal. I loved her back to health. And when she got strong enough to go back to work, I would send her a text message every morning with an inspirational quote. And then I would add, here's a couple of tips how you can apply it in your day. Love, mom. And I did that every day for months. And at the end of that, you know what? She's a pediatrician. She ended up like better, stronger, more optimistic than she was before. And she said, Mom, I encourage you to put that in a book to lift other people up when they may not have someone like you that can lift them up when they're going through a struggle like this. So, fast forward, I'm busy with real estate. The last thing on the planet I have time for is to publish a book. And so, then I get hit with cancer out of the blue. And thank goodness we caught it early. It was stage 1. I had a major surgery where they took the lower half of my left lung out. And that was 1 year ago yesterday. These flowers are from my family, for my
I wish there was a
23
confetti
anniversary.
button here because I would be throwing confetti. I would be throwing
Yay.
confetti.
But boy, did that wake me up. It's, what are you waiting for, Shelly? The book can't help anybody sitting in your computer on your desk. So I decided at that point, it's time. It's time to get this book out there. It's time to really live with passion about the next chapter of my life.
So the two times in your life where you actually took a step back or almost put upon you. The first
Right.
with your daughter, which
Right.
created the seed for what you're doing today, which was forced because of cancer.
Right.
In hindsight, because this knowledge that you're sharing in your book, which we're going to get to in a moment, is always within you. It's like my personal favorite. I'm from Kansas. I love Wizard of Oz, and Glinda the Good Witch says you always have the answers within you. So you've always had these answers. This is part of innately who you are. If you didn't have cancer, and if your daughter did not have a breakdown, what are some of the things that you could have identified in your life that it was time to start looking at that transition, time to start doing something? I know we're going back and going what if and could have, but if somebody out there has the same thought leadership ability that you have, but they don't have the life disruptions that you've had,
Right.
what are some of the things that they could actually look within and maybe slow down and look at doing something more?
Well, my fun job that I did over the years was teaching Dale Carnegie classes at night. And part of that, Dale Carnegie was one of the original self-help, you know, forerunners. And I taught for years, helping people push their comfort zone, face their fear, do it anyway. And it's just kind of life, right? Do as I say, not as I do, right? I'm teaching people how to do this, and I was holding myself back. I was staying in my comfort zone of real estate, and because I knew it, I was good at it. But I like, you know what? There's so much more out there that I can do and should do. So I just encourage everybody, if there's that little seed that's in you, we all know it, we feel it. Let it come out, whatever it is. If it's serving people, if it's, starting a support group, whatever it is, you have that inkling in your gut, and the more you squelch it, the more somehow it's going to come out. So, yeah, we get life lessons. Sometimes they're little and sometimes they're big. And I got a couple of really big ones to push
You
me
did.
outside my.
Absolutely, you did. So before we move into, pardon me, before we move into the next chapter, um, do you have 3 top tips for women in real estate to move their business to next level?
So the best tip I have for anybody new or old in the business is really get to the point where you're setting aside 50% of all of your income. And that pays your taxes. It lets you fully fund your SEP at the end of the year, because we're all independent contractors, right? So you fully fund your retirement every year. And you can do, and I don't know in Canada, but in the United States, you can do an IRA. So I set aside 50% of my income and fully funded those retirements. And now I'm in a position where I can semi-retire. I still have income coming in, but I have fully funded my retirement while I was working. So I highly recommend that. And because I was so good at budgeting with that, living off of the 50% that I brought in, I never had a problem paying my taxes, which a lot of real estate brokers struggle with. And after I paid it, fully funded those retirement accounts, I always had money left over that we used for vacations. So it really was kind of built in fun for my family. So that's my number one tip. And then, as I kind of already mentioned, setting those business hours, I think that's the very most important thing. And then getting help. Those are my three best tips for every realtor.
Awesome. And that on the money side is absolutely important. Okay, so we're going to move in because you've done those three things in your business, you now have the ability and opportunity to go next level and start sharing out the things you've learned throughout your lifetime. And this is so important. So first, tell us so you have a book in process,
Yes,
correct?
yeah.
Okay, so tell
It's
us what the book is, when we can expect it, and why you did it. And then we're going to
okay.
delve a little bit into the process of becoming a published author. So go
Okay.
ahead and tell us about your book.
So the title of the book is Love and Inspiration from Mom. So it's as we already shared, it's based on the experience that my daughter lived through. And so on one page of the book, it's an inspirational quote, and they are amazing quotes. Like I still like I love reading through my book because I'm so inspired by the great quotes that I found. Um, and then on the other page, it is here's how you can apply it in your day to day. And, on each one of those, it's Love Mom. So I've had several friends read my book and have given testimonials that, it is Shelly, gosh, these are words of wisdom that I wish my mom would have given me. Or these are words of wisdom that my mom used to give me and she's passed away. So it's just it's a wonderful opportunity for me to share my wisdom as a loving mom.
Amazing. So it's an interactive book. It gets people thinking. It's not just a passive book.
Right, right. I think in reality, people would love to live a more inspired life. It's just hard to do that in the midst of the struggles that we face. So, I think as evidenced by the, inspirational apps and quote books and all of that, people love the inspiration. They just don't know how to apply it in their life. And it doesn't do a lot unless you apply it, right? It's like wisdom doesn't, or knowledge doesn't make us, thin or wealthy. It's the application of that helps us. So that's why I give the tips from a loving mom that says, here's what you can do today to move that needle forward, to make your life a little bit better, a little bit more optimistic, and a little bit happier.
So in essence, you're just becoming mom to everybody. Anybody who's willing to read the book and use the book
Yes,
is
yes.
yeah. One of the things that I don't know if you notice, I my desk is glass. I write on anything and everything I can. I write on my bathroom mirror if I need to track something or remember something, or even if I know that the next day there's going to be a hard point in that day, and so I write something at night on my mirror.
Yeah.
And so, like a book like this will give me things that I can actually write, so I'm prepared. So I wake up, and because a lot of times when we sleep, we hash through all the things that are worrying us or paining us
Right,
or challenging us, because our subconscious will naturally go to the things that are or can trouble us, right?
right.
And so you wake up, if you don't have something to inspire you, so this is even something that you could have right
Read it.
next to a
Put the
journal.
good stuff in at night for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So your journey to go to become, so you have an organizational degree. First of all, good on you, because I am the least organized person. I have people running around behind me trying to collect everything. But when we look at this, how did all of your past experience, everything you've done, what were the things that helped you get to the point of publishing a book? And what were the things that were kind of the biggest, like, okay, that's unexpected. So tell us a little bit about your journey of becoming a published author and which path did you follow? Did you follow the 100% self-published? Did you follow the hybrid, which is a smaller publishing house, a bit more cost effective? Or did you go to a full publishing house, and why you chose that path?
Well, boy, is it a learning experience. It is really one thing to write the book. And that part really to me wasn't very hard because I had already done so much of it with my daughter. And that was just kind of off the top of my head kind of things that I was sending to her. So once I did that, I had this manuscript that I had, was all ready. It was just, what do you do with it now? So I did decide to do the fully self-published route. But interestingly, I've learned there's two major self-publishing routes. One is going the KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing on Amazon. And then another is Ingram Spark. And Ingram Spark is a traditional publishing company, but has a self-publishing arm. So I picked publishing or Ingram Spark for two reasons. One, and this seems really silly, but it was really important to me. They had the size of the book that I wanted, which seems so silly, but KDP had these big books. The smallest size you can do through Amazon is 5 by 7. I think it was 5 by 7.5. And I was like, that's just too big I want a little pocket book that someone can throw in their briefcase, someone can throw in their backpack, they can throw it in their purse. And Ingram Spark had 4.25 by 7. So that's the size. And the other thing with Ingram Spark is a lot of like the bookstores, Barnes and Noble, Tattered Cover, which we have here in Colorado, they will not carry a book that is published only through KDP.
Correct.
So, which is the Amazon. So that's why, those are the two reasons I decided to go Ingram Spark. And I am just now getting it back from the formatter and ready to upload it to get my first print run to make sure everything looks good. So it has been a journey, but I tell you, it's not as hard as you think. It's,
Yeah.
it's not as hard as you think. So
Yeah, there's hybrids, and I understand that with Spark you can also do a la carte, where if you need assistance with the formatting,
right,
you need assistance with the uploading. Everybody thinks that publishing a book is free. Well, statistically, it's 5 years for a 100% self-published, and the only thing you're at buying is your ISBN, right? So
right.
that's the statistic, is 5 years. But with having a publishing arm to where you can access the a la cartes, like the formatting and such,
Right.
um, you have opportunities to kind of accelerate that. So, and by the way, congratulations, because only three
Thank you.
percent of North Americans actually write a book, actually get published, truly published. Not this. We see a lot of people go, be in my book, but it's never put in, it's not truly published. They're not recognized as a published author. And part of that is the Amazon Author Central is part of the gauge with the ISBN, which everybody, just so you know, that is the barcode and number on the back, and there's different numbers that identify. There's six categories globally where that will identify country of origin on that. And that is an investment piece for most people. It depends on which country you're in. I think in the States it's like $125. In Canada, you can get them for free as long as you're publishing in Canada primary, US secondary. England, I think it's like £300. Like, so it all depends where you're at. But that there's just so many layers to get
Right.
through. Will you be taking any part of this book into the Audible world?
Well, I thought about it. But and actually, this is kind of a funny thing. I haven't even broached this with my husband, but I thought it would be kind of fun for him to read the inspirational quote and me to read the love mom part. So if we do it, that's how I would think we would release it. But he's not on board yet.
He's not on board yet. It'd also
I
be
haven't
kind of
broached.
cool to have your daughter read the inspirational quote and you read the love mom, because that's kind of the seed to the entire journey.
Oh boy, is that a good idea? I'll have to ask her. In her spare
Yeah.
time, she's a doctor.
There you go. There you go. Is there anything that you want to share from a mom? Oh, by the way, what gender are your grandchildren? I just assumed they were all girls
Oh,
because,
you're
but
so
what
funny.
do you have?
So the oldest one is a girl, and then I have two little precious boys. And one of so that's another big thing that's happened in my life. My younger daughter, she was pregnant with twins during COVID. And we were so excited. It was identical twin boys and just like over the moon excited. And she lost one of the twins in utero, and then she delivered the other one at 1 pound 14 ounces. And he is my miracle baby. I tell you, they were
That would have been
114 days.
terrifying, being
It
in the
was
medical
terrifying.
system during a pandemic. Yeah,
Yes, it
absolutely
was terrifying.
terrifying.
He They were in the NICU for 114 days. And interestingly, right when she went into labor, when all this was happening, I had decided to put my book, because everybody was struggling with the COVID and the lockdowns and everything. I thought, you know what? The world needs inspiration right now. So I decided for 30 days I was going to post an inspiration and a love mom on Facebook. And so then in the midst of all that is when my daughter delivers this 1 pound 14 ounce baby. And she said, Mom, every day in the NICU, I was looking forward to your post because I needed the inspiration and the love from that every day. So yeah, it's a full journey. So yes, he's now 18 months old and doing amazing. And then I have another little grandson that was born last July. So I've got three.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, love for mom. I think that all of us are multifaceted. And are you paying attention to the life lessons that can lead you on the next step of your journey? Because if you ain't dead, you got lots left to do. And these are facts, folks. Remember,
Amen.
it's progress over perfection. The only day I will be perfect is the day I hit the grave, because my entire life is a series of progress. So, again, Shelly, where can we find you? How can we find your book? Share with us that, and give us everything you got.
So the launch date for my book, Love and Inspiration from Mom, is May 7th, the day before Mother's Day. And I have a website, loveandinspiration.org. And just getting that up and running, but I, will have it full force by the time the book goes live. And would love to have you connect. Are you okay? Would love to have you connect with me on the website. I have an opportunity to sign up, and I'll stay in touch with you, and I can let you know when the book is out. I do believe that this book can change the world one inspired person at a time.
All right, forgive me, folks.
Oh,
Tea down the wrong pipe. Okay. We're going to make it. We're going to make it here. Sliding into home base. Super excited. And Shelly, totally with you. Use every lesson in your life, ladies. While we do real estate, we get the unique opportunity to gaze into other people's worlds, see what they need, how to live a better life. Because after 20 years of real estate, you're probably going to want to do something different. And why not share your wisdom? Why not share your unique perspective? So on this note, while I go downstairs and get some more water. Again, thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you, Shelly. And everybody out there, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I need you to come in and embrace all these amazing women that we're talking to every week. And until next time, I'm Kim Hayden, Kim Talks. You can find me over at resilientseries.com.
Yay.
Bye for now.